I want to welcome you to this very special episode of Limitless, where my guest today has a story that I know is going to impact you. On this show, we talk about and I interview people that have amazing stories and they've come from challenge in their life or they've broken through barriers to have success in some way. And the lady that I have with us definitely fits that definition. And in addition, she is one that, as a child, was recruited into an armed group. Now, we at Global Impact, as many of you know, have an advocacy to educate people on what is human trafficking. There are many facets of human trafficking. There's sex trafficking, drug trafficking, labor trafficking. But an avenue and an area that maybe many are not familiar with is children and minors that are recruited to fight. And today, this woman, Lola, which I really have the privilege of now getting to know and know her story, will share from her heart what it was like for her, where she came from, and what she is doing today. So join me now as I welcome Lola here into our Limitless episode. Lola, thank you so much for joining me here on Limitless. Really privileged to have you.
I am also very privileged, and it is my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much. I'm fascinated with your story, and I'm excited for you to be able to share with our audience, who's both, of course, here in the Philippines, but really an international audience as well, about your story and where you've come from, and specifically highlighting, the area of what is human trafficking and children or minors being recruited to fight. But let's just start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about your childhood and how you grew up.
I grew up as a normal kid. I grew up I was born in Cebu. And then I grew up in Culion, Palawan, because my mom and my dad was assigned there.
That's a beautiful,
It's a
beautiful area.
place.
Yeah.
It's an island surrounded by water.
Yeah.
So I grew up by the sea.
You're an island girl.
Yeah.
That's why you like water.
Yes, the reason why. I grew up in a very normal family, although my dad died when I was 6 years old.
Sorry.
My dad died in Cebu because he has to go home to Cebu to take, I don't know the reason why he went back to Cebu. So we were left in Culion, Palawan. It's a very beautiful place. And then my childhood was going to school. Actually, going to school was not really my focus at the time because I was too young then. My mother was the cook for the children's food at St. Ignatius Academy. She was the one cooking for donut, pulpurburon, the porridge, the lugaw. We call it the lugaw or the champurrado. So because the children in that particular school were fed by the priest, the Jesuit priest and the sisters, the nuns from St. Polo Charity. So my mom was the one who took care of the cooking of all the food.
Okay.
So since nobody will be taking care of me at home, he has to bring me to school. And when I am in school, I spend 1 hour in grade 1, 1 hour in grade 2. So I went around the grades.
I see.
And one of the teachers found out that I am a fast learner. And she was the one who suggested to my mom that maybe we can enroll her officially. So I was enrolled officially in grade 1. And then in the middle of the year, they accelerated me to grade 2. So technically, I was only 4 years old at the time.
Wow.
And then the next year, I was enrolled in grade 3. And then in the middle of the year again, I was accelerated in grade 4. So I took up 4 grade level in 2 years. And growing up in an island, which is very, very close-knit. Everybody knows auntie, the neighbor, the one living on the top, the one living down the road.
Everyone's related too, right?
Yes, everyone's related too.
Yeah.
Manang, auntie, they call
Right.
everybody.
Yeah.
And they called my mom, all the people in that particular island call my mother Mama Kuring.
Okay.
Since she's the one taking care of those children of the leper parents whom the government have to take care temporarily while the parents are undergoing treatment. So she was the house parent of Hijas de Angelitas. So technically, I grew up in a very normal environment, and I was thinking all along that all the kids, we have floors. Saint Joseph are floors for babies. Saint Paul are floors for 5 years old to 7 years old. And then this floor is for this particular age. This floor is this for particular age. So I grew up with a lot of girls around me. So technically, that's how I grew up. And that is where I saw the compassion, the caring, the service to other people. It was my mom who developed that in me.
And you still carry that to this day, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
That you have a real heart for helping others.
Yeah, maybe because it was embedded in me when I was still young.
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
And then when I went to school, it was, I think, it took toll on me. Now, at 4 o'clock, we have to wake up. Sister Benigna will go around the floor, ringing the bell. Okay, time to pray, time to pray, time to pray, 4 o'clock. Sometimes I have to hide under the bed because I don't want to pray, because I want to sleep. And then at 6 o'clock, we have to take care of our things in going to school. Then 6:30, we have to consolidate in front of that particular Ias de Angelitas. This is the place, this is the ground, and this is the church. So we have to consolidate here, all the girls, those who are going to school. And we have to pray again. So because this is too much. And then when we go to school again, we have, before starting our classes, we have to pray. And then eating lunch, we have to pray. That's why I'm joking myself. This is too much prayer. That's why I passed heaven. I was brought to the mountain.
Okay.
Those are my childhood.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to play outside. Because my kuya, the one who died 3 weeks ago, Kuya Lando, doesn't want me to go playing with the soil, with other children. I might get rabies. I might get...
Just for your safety. He didn't want you to go out. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I grew up.
Okay.
In a very normal... I was a constructed kid. I look at the world as very normal.
Okay.
Normal in a sense that I am taken care by my parents and my siblings. I have to go to school. I have to go home. I have to go to mass every Sunday and wear the gala uniform. And then go home again. And then play by the seashore. Go camping. That's how I grew up.
Okay. Wow. So you grew up normal, smart, right? You said you were you were accelerated into school and you were reading all the time. I heard you say earlier when we were talking. What happened later on? Tell us about your early teenage years and when you were, recruited into an armed group.
Since I graduated ahead of my time and my age, one of the priests who was a relative of our family asked my mom, what branch of Ateneo do we have to bring Latak? That's my nickname. Tak for short. Where are we going to bring Latak? She cannot study in Ateneo de Manila since she don't have a relative there, and she has to be living alone in a boarding house, and she's too young. She couldn't take care of herself. So one of the Sister Benigna, told my mom, why not brought her to Ateneo de Naga since Roberto is there. Roberto is my brother, the second in our family. The eldest is Ramon, and then Kuya Bob. So I was brought to Bicol. A naive 13-year-old girl brought to a very strange place, with a language barrier. In Bicol, you have to talk iyudae. What is that? Mabata.
Another dialect, right?
The local, the vernacular.
For our international audience, here in the Philippines, there's over 100 dialects.
Yes.
So you grew up with one dialect and moved to a whole other place, different
with
language.
Another dialect.
Yeah, different language, really.
With another dialect. So I was at a loss at that particular, since I could not understand what they are talking about.
Yeah.
And that particular situation prodded me to, maybe I have to look for somebody who can help me. Help me to cope with this. Help me to cope with this particular situation since I am in a different place. That's Naga. And there's this one guy who befriended me. Actually, I'm still looking for him because I really would want to have a closure in this. That's one of my baggages. I just want to ask him, did you befriend me because you want to push me to that particular group, or did you befriend me because you really would want to befriend me? Which is which? He befriended me, and then later on, another guy from another university befriended me again. And it was Jadi who recruited me. Kuya Jadi was like a brother to me. He's tall, maybe 5'9". The typical definition of tall, handsome.
I see.
So I look at him as my brother because at that particular time, I was missing my dad. I was missing my kuya, the 3 kuyas that I have.
Sure.
They're the ones who took care of me when my dad died, acting like my kuya. They even have to carry me on their shoulder because, say for example, we watched the military parade on the street during Peña Francia. They have to put me on their shoulder so that I can watch. Technically, they are like brothers to me. But then again, they're the 2 guys, which is which, I cannot pinpoint, who facilitated me to join the armed group.
What did they say to you? Because like again, we want to get a context. I want to say this too. Like me growing up in America, kind of a typical American life. We don't. I don't have it. Didn't previous to coming here and living in the Philippines. No experience with this. It'd just be something that you would see on the news in another country. A child, a teenager being recruited into something like this. So what was happening for you? I want to understand you from your 13-year-old point of view, and what was being said to you and what drew you into this.
The first approach was just, they asked my name. Are you really a college student? Actually, before that, something happened during orientation in college. When you enter the college, your college years, first year, you have to undergo the orientation phase. So that particular orientation, the orientation was finished, and then here comes the open forum. And then during the open forum, one of the facilitator asked all the first year, the freshmen who will be entering the first year, any question. I raised my hand. And then the facilitator told me, I cannot see you. Will you please go at the center? In Ateneo, we're not allowed to talk in Tagalog. So I started learning that. Then when I went to the center, I don't know if she really insulted me, or I was not flattered. I was insulted. And that's the reason why I took up my master's degree in communication, because I really would want to understand what happened to me. I was down on the ground, and she was on the stage. So technically, she was on a power position, and she was overlooking at me, and she asked these particular questions. Are you a college student? Right there and then, I was insulted. This is not my fault. I didn't ask my mom to enroll me here. And from that day on, I told myself, I will prove to anybody here, everybody of you, that I am a college student. That's the reason why every organization that recruited me, I joined them. Unfortunately, one of the organization was the one who facilitated me to join the armed group. It was so smooth when they recruited me. They just befriended me and then brought me to orientation, brought me to seminars, symposium. I didn't have any inkling at all that those symposiums and seminars are the underground activities of the front organization. Since the word was symposium, seminar, so I didn't see anything bad or illegal at that.
At that age, did you even know that there was a type of group like that, an armed group?
No.
Did you even have any concept? No,
I don't have
nothing.
any idea at
Nothing.
all. I came from an island with no...
Just innocent, right? Just live life on an island.
We don't have... we have electricity, but the one taking care of the electricity has to open it at 6 o'clock, and they have to put it off at 12 in the midnight. So technically, from 12 to 6 o'clock in the morning, we don't have electricity. I live in an island where I don't have any inkling at all of the outside world.
Secluded. Just your life there.
It's very secluded.
Yeah.
And very protected by my parents and my siblings.
Right.
They don't want me to read the newspaper. Aside from the fact that the newspaper goes to the island, it's history already.
Pretty old, huh?
It's not news. It's history already. It's
That's
history
funny.
already.
Yeah. So back to your college days. So they kind of slowly brought you into different conferences, symposiums.
Yes.
And what happened?
Yeah. It was already Jadi. It was already Jadi. It was already Jadi who was with me all the while. All the while, he was with me. Every time that he finishes his classes, he has to go to Ateneo, and he has to ask somebody. We don't have cell phones at the time, so somebody he asked somebody to go inside Ateneo with an Ateneo ID. You look for. They call me now at the time Tina. You call for Tina. Told Tina I'm outside. So I have to go outside. We have to while away our time in one of the luglugan. The luglugan is a native food in Naga it's like canton, and then they call it kinalas, and I love to eat that food. So Jadi will tell me the stories about, oh, we already finished with this. We already finished with this. Are you finished with that particular book? Oh yeah. Do you want another book? One of the book that he lent me was the thin one, Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince. Like what I told a while ago, I finished that in 2 hours. So I was so voracious in reading. I was a voracious reader. This is not enough. Why did you lend me this thin book and I need some more books?
Really?
And then Jadi asked me, "You want some more books? Do you want to read this particular Alvin Toffler, the trilogy?" So, may I say the book? Oh, that's stick. When Jadi handed me the book, I was thinking, well, can I read this? But fortunately, I was able to read it in 5 days.
Oh.
And I digest everything. And all those what was written was all about social, economic, and this is happening in my country. It's very sad, in a very subtle way, they're agitating me. Because they knew that if they are going to tell a story, I will not believe them immediately. Because maybe they really profiled me. That this particular little girl will have to investigate. So what they did was to lend me books. Books about social change, books about the Communist Manifesto. I even read the Communist Manifesto. I even read books about authored by Emile Durkheim, The Theory of Suicide. I read about historical and dialectical materialism. I read about economic determinism. They fed me a lot of intellectual stuff. It fed my ego also. Fed my ego also.
I see. Yeah.
I have a lot of things in my head that I know everything. Unfortunately, I did not. I did not.
Interesting. Because you said earlier too, you had made a decision to like prove yourself as well, and then it fed your ego. Okay, so then how did it evolve further? Then what happened?
In second semester of my first year, they asked me to join an organization. You're now ready on the second level. I was thinking all along, what is the second level? But Jadi told me, it is your, it's a moving up. Moving up in what? I was thinking all along, but with limited knowledge about the CTG, with my experience in an island, I don't know anything about it. I just believed Jadi. Because he was like my brother. He was like my elder brother. I believe everything that he told me. I hold on to that. I trusted him. I trusted my life. I trusted my whole being to Kuya Jadi. Thinking all along, he was my kuya. A brother will not bring or even think of hurting her younger kid.
Yeah.
But then it happened to me. I cannot blame him now because he's dead. He's dead. He died in an encounter together with me. I saw him
Oh, Lola.
I saw him dying in front of me. And that's one of the blame that I hate everything that is for and by the government because I saw Jadi dying in front. Slowly, with blood spurting on the side. He was hit. I told myself I will revenge you that.
That's when it really went inside you?
Yeah.
And the revenge?
And I promised myself I will look for that particular unit to get even. Because Jadi was blood and my flesh and blood. He was the one who took care of me. He was the one who facilitated me. He was the one who indoctrinated me, and he was my sponsor when I took the oath as a member of the KM, Kabataang Makabayan. And I don't know anything about Kabataang Makabayan. I am just thinking that Kabataang Makabayan are youth for the country. But I don't want any inkling that I will be facilitated in going up to the armed group. And that's the reason why I am reminding every kids that if they are recruited by this particular front organization, they are not recruited just to join the organization. They have an ultimate goal to bring the youth and student to the mountain. Because who can replenish the armed group who died? Three situations will be, three things will happen to youth and student who will join the armed group. That's the reason why the front organization must replenish them. They died in an encounter. Some of them went insane, war shocked, and some of them went back to the fold of the law. So technically, the manpower will diminish. So what will happen? The front organizations like now, the one crying and shouting for red tagging, are the ones who will replenish the lost manpower of the armed group. And that's the reason why it pains me all the time that I experienced to trust and it was broken. But I cannot, I'm still a trusting person up to now. I don't know why. I don't know why. I can easily trust people. And it always goes back to me when they break their promise.
Yeah, it's like pain upon pain, huh?
Pain.
It keeps going. As you were just a teenager,
Yes.
and I know that you became a commander, actually.
Yeah.
Tell us what it's like. What's it like to be in the mountains fighting a female and a teenager and a commander?
I became the political officer of, first I became the squad leader of SYP, Sandatahang Unit Propaganda. It's a propaganda team at the same time armed. We have to conduct gamas in Tagalog, that's gawaing masa. We are the team that are tasked to infiltrate the sitios, specifically the sitios in the remote areas, so that we can recruit, we can have a place where we can move, we can stay for the night or even weeks or even months, so that we can transform it into a guerrilla zone.
Okay. Let me just translate a little, because a lot of those are Philippine terms. You know, sitio is like basically a small area, like you could just say a small town or village, and out in the mountain areas, and to transform it into what you said, like a guerrilla zone.
Guerrilla zone.
A place of armed conflict and rebellion. Yeah.
And then after that, we have to again hop to another sitio. I will be the one at the age of 14. I'm still studying. From Monday to Friday, I am a normal student. But Friday, I have to tell lies. I told a lot of lies to my mom. Mama, we have to practice because I am a member of the drama guild as ASIL. We have to practice our play for the Pintakasi. Pintakasi is our 1 week celebration of the foundation of Ateneo, and we call it Pintakasi. That's Pintakasi is a Tagalog term for cockfighting. So we called the Foundation Week for Ateneo Pintacasi. I even won a trophy as Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress for the play Moses Moses and Kasalan sa Likod ng Simbat. But because I'm more geared on the arts. I love stage play. Every time that we have to go up the mountain and I have to integrate with an armed group, specifically in the areas of Santa Elena, the first district of Bicol, I have to tell lies, a lot of lies to my parents. I even arrived at a point that I answered back my mom. She was angry at the time because you're not supposed to go out this Saturday because your ate, I have a sister who is a nun who will be visiting me at the time in Naga. Ate Aida is coming and you're not around. Your ate again will be nagging you. Where are you? What are you doing? But I have to practice this particular scene because we cannot perfect it. But definitely we don't have a practice. I just have to go out because I have to lead this particular team, the SYP, who will be infiltrating one of the barrios in Napulidan. That's in Camarines Norte. And then, it's too painful that I answered back my mom. I can say it in Tagalog but translate it in English. Wala akong pananagutan sa'yo. Wala akong pananagutan sa'yo. Ang pananagutan ko ay sa bayan. Hindi mo ako anak ako ng bayan. I don't have any responsibility to you. My responsibility is with my country. I am not only your child, but I am a child of my country.
Oh, wow.
However, the first encounter, when I experienced the first encounter, the first person that I called was my mom. I shouted, Mama ko, Mama ko. That's very ironic on my part. I answered back to my mother, and then when I experienced that particular encounter, she was the one whom I called.
That you called back.
Yeah.
As you talk, I'm so thankful that you share your emotion, your heart, even the pain that you still carry. If I can ask, what's one of the things that was the most traumatic or most painful about that time?
It was in 1992. For the last quarter, I was then assigned, I was brought to Lucena already to infiltrate the broadcast industry because I was the one who led the NPA who bombed one of the bridge in connecting the first district and the center of Bicol, the Tara Bridge in Sipocot, Camarines Sur. And I was only 14 years old. That particular incident decreased the credibility of the armed group in Bicol. And the central committee and the leadership of the regional area in that particular area, the Southern Tagalog, at the time we're under the Southern Tagalog Regional Party Committee, decided to brought me to Lucena to infiltrate the broadcast industry. So I was able to infiltrate one of the radio stations, DWLQ, owned by Danding Muranko under Beacon Communications.
Can I pause and ask you, when you're infiltrating this, what are you doing? Getting people in there into the...
No, I was the one who infiltrated the radio station.
So you're working inside?
Yes.
Basically, that's the infiltration.
A normal employee.
Okay.
I was able to earn the trust of the station manager up to the time that I became the station manager of that particular
station. How long
station.
did that take? How many months or years?
Oh no, I only...
Weeks.
It so happened that I was very fortunate that my eldest brother, the wife of my eldest brother, was the relative of the station manager.
Okay.
And at that time, they knew that my eldest brother has a connection with the station manager through the wife. So they asked me to go there. I contacted my kuya. Kuya, I want to work in the broadcast industry. And then kuya asked Tito Ojeda if I can work. And then to make the story short, I became the program director of that particular station after the time that I went back to the fold of the law. Okay. When I was working in that particular station, I was even the last minute G2 when 4 young lieutenants was abducted in Sariaya, Quezon. The last minute G2's responsibility was to feed the information of the target personality whom they are planning to abduct. So I was the one who gave them the information. Okay, the car already get out of the camp. This is the color. This is the plate number. But nobody knew who I was at the time.
Right. So I had originally asked about you going, what was the most traumatic? And you told the story that I asked about the infiltration. So what you were starting to tell us about what was one of the most traumatic situations that had happened
It was the last task given to me to attack Santo Domingo Albay. I was then working as I was already an anchor of one radio program for DWLQ punto por punto, point by point. I was able to get the trust of the station manager. And every time that they tasked me to conduct a tactical offensive in Bicol, I have to tell a lie. I have to tell a lie to file my leave. I'm going to attend to this. I'm going one of my relatives. So I filed for a 2 weeks leave because the higher leadership of the Bicol Regional Party Committee was asking me to lead the attack in Santo Domingo Albay. So I was able to conduct it. And after the attack, of course, it's a natural thing. The security forces will go after us. We'll conduct hot pursuit. We'll conduct clearing operation. It's our rule that before conducting, as a commander who will be leading the attack, we have this, what we call the RP, the rallying point. The legal forces called it the post-rallying point. That rallying point is a place or a location. It can be a place on the mountains, or it can be a house where we assign a person there to wait for us for 2 days. We have rice, we have everything that we need. And we have to wait for our comrades for 2 days. The time we have 3 RP. It so happened that I was able to extract myself in that particular instance that we attacked the municipal police station of Santo Domingo Albay. I ran to one of our rallying points, which was manned by 2 elderly people. The tatay, the father, was 85 and nanay was 82. So I was able to bring 3 of my men. So we're 4. We're 4 in that particular house, and every time that 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock is, the mother will get out of the house, and one of my men confronted me, Katina, did you know that Nanay is always going out of the house? I don't know. You better ask her. Where is she going? What's she doing? So I confronted the mother. Nay, where are you going? And she told me, that's the turning point of my life. I was like a hot frying pan doused with a cold water. I asked her, where did you go? What are you doing? And he looked at me in the eye and told me, lumalabas ako because kailangan kong mangutang ng kakainin natin. He just need to get out because he want to find for food for us. And even have to lend the food. It was the turning point of my revolutionary. What am I doing to these people? They told me that I will be the one liberating my people, but I am the one repressing them. I even exploit them. Imagine, there's only 1 ganta of rice, and I have to knock on their door, and I have to ask them if we can eat. The 1 ganta of rice will not be eaten by the family. They have to give it to us. Those are the questions. Am I really serving my people? Is this they fed my mind that I will be para sa bayan, for my country, for my country, for my country. The theory is there for my country, but the practice, it's not synchronizing with the propaganda line. If I am really serving my people, why is it that I am killing my people? If I am really serving my people, why is it that I am recruiting their children? If I am really serving my people, why is it that I have to bomb the bridge used by ordinary people? If I am really serving my people, why is it that I am killing soldiers and policemen whom I didn't even know? I don't even know their surname. If I am really serving my people, Why is it that I have to tell a student that I recruited, do not tell your mom where are you going? I have to teach them how to tell a lie. Those are the questions. Those are the times that I ask myself and I question the very principal tenets of the movement. Am I really serving my people? Or am I hurting them? And then one day I woke up, I was fighting a fake revolution. This is not for my people. This is for few of the leadership who are greedy for power and money. Unfortunately, I was so stupid at that time, I believed them. That's the reason why sometimes I'm not a gifted child. I'm not even talented because they were able to dupe me. They were able to deceive me to handle a gun, to hold a gun, and then kill my own people. And that pains me.
Yeah. Still to this day? Or at that time?
Yes, but every time I told my story, I have to let it out.
Yeah.
Because it helped me to lighten the load, to lighten the guilt, exercising myself,
Yeah.
realizing that I was a part of the sham and the travesty of this so-called cause-oriented group who is killing my own people.
What age were you at this point when this realization came?
When the realization
when the
came,
change
I
came.
was, I think, 20.
20.
20.
And you started at 13,
Yes.
20. And when did you officially come out?
In February of 1993, I approached one of the soldier, one of the military officer who bought an airtime from the station whom I am running, which I am running. And then I talked to him heart to heart. Sir, can I talk to you? Can I tell you my story? And then he was the one who helped me to be enrolled in the NPUD during Ramos' time. Ramos in 1992 offered an amnesty. A year after I surrendered, I was given an amnesty, though I was incarcerated for 2 to 3 months because they have to determine if what I committed were political crimes or ordinary crimes. But I was not put inside a prison cell. I was put in the office of the jail warden, since I have to handle my radio programs from 6 in the morning to 8 in the morning.
So since that time, how old were you at that time?
23,
23. So
Yeah.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years of your life.
10 years, 2 months, 11 days.
Wow. And since that time, you were just mentioning this as you share your story and you talk, it's actually part of your healing.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I want to know, and especially for just really anybody that's watching this right now, this is a very traumatic, very different type of life that you've lived. But there's things that we can all apply to our life, the traumas, the pains that we've been through. And what's helped you since that time be able to work through and to heal?
Actually, it was when I started working with CRS-AFP, Civil Relations Service Armed Forces of the Philippines. When one of the officers asked me, can you go with us to tell your story in one of the barangays in Nueva Ecija? I was thinking all along, what story am I going to tell them? Your life in the mountains. And explain it to me. It was at first, I had second thoughts at first. Will these people understand what I had undergone? What I did to my country? Will they reject me? The fear of rejection. The fear of that being condemned. And then when they assured me, no, you will be talking in front of the students so that they have first-hand information, I was brought to one of the school in Cabanatuan. And then that is where I started telling my story. When I started telling my story in that particular school, the next day we have to go again to another school. The next day and the next day. On the fifth day, I realized this is exercising me. Maybe this can help. And then after that, when on the third month again, they requested me to be with them. I was very much willing to go with them. Because I felt that the load was very light. It was something heavy,
You were able to let
Uh-huh.
it out. Like,
That's
yeah,
point.
what was heavy.
Little by little, trauma by trauma, pain by pain, it was lifted. Though I still have to, every time that I have to tell my story, it go back again. But then
Yeah.
again, it helps me. And I really would want to say sorry to my people. I didn't mean killing them. So happened that in the mountain, it's survival of the fittest. My life or the soldier's life. I have to choose. And I have to choose their life instead of my men's life.
Wow. Fascinating, really, and so interesting. And thank you for sharing. We're just going to wind down now, but incredible that you would share with us. And what last words would you like to share or advice to people that are watching and listening to this?
To the children, to the youth and students, you have to capacitate yourself first. Again, I want to reiterate, you have to capacitate yourself financially, psychologically, and morally. If you really would want to help our country, focus on your home first. Focus on your parents. You will never have the capacity to love if you will never love your parents and yourself. You cannot love our people if you will never love yourself. Self-love first, parents second, before anybody else. To the parents, be aware of your children's activities at school. You don't have to control them. Give them time to explore the world, but then again, guide them. Do not just shout at them. Do not just have to. Do not control their life. Children are our children is not our property. We have to let them go sometimes. If they committed mistake, you just have to remind them, suffer the consequences. But then again, parents must be there.
Lola, thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank
Thank you
you
very
so much. And to everybody that's out there, thank you for joining us in this episode, listening to this story. And we always want each person, no matter what country, no matter what your age, no matter your background, to understand really world issues, and in particular, focusing on human trafficking. And let's be advocates. Let's be a voice for this, and let's keep children safe. And let's make sure that we're doing those things that are proactive in helping our children and our people. And any trauma, any abuse, any exploitation that you've been through, there's always hope and there's always healing. And I thank you again for joining us. God bless.